Hello, everybody, and welcome into today's episode of Around the Slice. I am back here again today to provide you guys with another batch of Bills free agency reactions. So, without wasting any more time, any more introduction, let's get right into it and hop into these reactions to the items on today's list individually. So, first, again, this is going in order of how they happen, when they happen. I don't want to even say order. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to organize and categorize these like positional value. I've had a really busy last few days. You don't care about that, but I didn't have time to categorize these and order these, if you will, into positional, positional, what do I want to say? Order. That's the word I'm looking for. So these are just random order. So try to follow along to the best of your ability. Sorry about that. But first, the Bills have signed safety Derek Forrest to here are the exact numbers, 1 year, $1.3 million deal. I said in last week's episode, we do have the numbers on safety Damar Hamlin's contract, so I was going to talk about that in a minute, but we might as well bring it up now since we're talking about safety. So the Buffalo Bills and Brandon Beane re-signed Damar Hamlin to a 1 year, $2 million deal. We'll get to his move individually in a minute here. But for Derek Forrest, 1 year, $1.3 million, I see this as a low-key, awesome veteran type move. He was really starting to come on for the Commanders in 2022 and 2023 respectively, but then they had a staff change from good old Ron Rivera to Dan Quinn, and he kind of fell out of favor there, if you will. But now he's on the Bills, and I know this team loves Taylor Rapp. I've had a wishy-washy kind of relationship, at least from like a podcaster, fan, and personality perspective, because in 2023, wasn't the biggest fan of him. I thought he was a really physical tackle. Let me start over. I thought he was a really physical tackler and what have you, but I thought his coverage, whether it was center field, hybrid, too high, single high, whatever, left a lot to be desired. In 2024, he was still that physical dominant tackler that he's always been in his career, Rams, Bills, or otherwise. But I thought his coverage improved a lot. And then it started to taper off, if you will, towards the end of the playoffs. So I know this team has a pretty kind of sizable-ish contract with Taylor Rapp for a couple more years. But if Derek Forrest can push him to be a starting strong safety, I am not overlooking that one bit. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty and details, if you will, of Derek Forrest. He's 25 years old right now. He will be 26 in May, so he'll be 26 at the start of the 2025 NFL season. For Bills purposes, for his size, he's 5'11", 200. So that's prototypical safety size, 5'10", 5 to 6 foot, 200, 205. He's right around there. He's not the rangiest safety in the world, and he admitted that in his introductory press conference. He said, listen, man, I'm here to be physical. I'm here to be a smart player, and I think he can be a really physical, smart player, the back end of the Bills defense. I know for a fact he'll be locked into a huge special teams role on this team with the other special teams mainstays, if you will, if we re-sign Quentin Morris, which I'm sure we will. Shocked that hasn't happened yet. Cam Lewis, Damar Hamlin, now that he's back. These are going to be mainstays on special teams and staples, if you will. Add Derek Forrest to the list. But again, I'm not overlooking him as kind of pushing Taylor Rapp significantly. I don't think there's any role where he pushes Cole Bishop or Damar Hamlin or any other rookie draft pick be the starting free safety. Because again, to be a starting free safety, you have to have good center, ball skills, good athleticism. He's athletic, but he doesn't have ball skills. He's not the rangiest guy in the world. He'll be a physical, downhill style player, very similar to a lesser degree, of course, to Taylor Rapp. But I'm not overlooking, guys, him pushing him to be the starting strong safety. For official grade, I'm going to give this an A-. A range, just single-handedly, to be blunt with you guys, 1 year, $1.3 million. That's an awesome, cheap veteran addition who you know is going to be a mainstay, like I just mentioned, a mainstay in special teams. And sneakily enough, I don't know if I really haven't heard this chatter lately, if you will, in the last week or so since we signed him. I keep saying he will, in fact, in my opinion, in my eyes, push Taylor Rapp to be a starter. Come week one, I'm not predicting. Come week one, will I be surprised if he's a starter? Right now, I wouldn't say shocked, but maybe I will be a bit surprised. But through training camp and preseason, I'm assuming that will grow on me more and more, the idea of that. So do not overlook Derek Forrest being a starting strong safety for this team as opposed to Taylor Rapp. And Taylor Rapp being that third safety like he was in 2023 when, I'll just leave that for another day. In 2023 when he was behind Mike High and Jordan Poyer respectively. So that's that. I'm going to give this an A- because of the special teams contribution he brings in the cheap veteran upside, and no one's really talking about it, but I keep pounding it home. Just remember that Aiden Weingarten on Around the Slice said that Derek Forrest could very well be the starting strong safety for this Buffalo Bills team come week 1 of the 2025 season in September in a handful of months. So just remember that. Next, Bills sign. I've said for months now this needs to happen in these two, organization and player and vice versa, whatever. We're heading for a divorce. And it finally happened. Bills trade quarterback Kyer Elam to the Dallas Cowboys. Here are the terms of the deal, and then I'll give you my thoughts. So the Bills receive a 2025 fifth and a 2026 seventh rounder. The Cowboys receive Elam and a 2025 sixth. It's basically just Elam and a pick swap for the Cowboys. Big deal. That little of conversation tells me that Brandon Beane and the Buffalo Bills are ready to move on to Kyer Elam, and I've been saying that for months now. I can't imagine that Kyer Elam is very satisfied as a former first-round pick, having to sit behind freaking Jamarcus Ingram and 99.9% of the time be a healthy scratch unless there's an injury, which there wasn't much of at all really this past season. 2022 gets beat out by all of Trey White once he comes back. When he came back, Trey White, Christian Benford, Dane Jackson, they all beat him out. 2023, he's beat out by Christian Benford, Trey White, and Dane Jackson. Again, in 2024, he's beat out by Christian Benford, Rasul Douglas, and apparently now Jamarcus Ingram. I mean, that's sad. I love Jamarcus Ingram as a UDFA from UB. Go Bulls as local there, but if you're beating out by a UDFA as a first round pick, you're officially a bust. So these two needed to head in a different direction, a divorce, if you will. I've been saying this since damn near October, November time at this point. The Bills only getting basically a pick swap for all intents and purposes tells me that they were exhausted and ready to move on as well. And I want to say this about Kyer Elam right now, man. Don't come at me in the comments. Don't yell at me that, Aiden, what are you talking about? You had all the opportunity in the world. I understand that every time that Kyer Elam was on the field, it was pretty dreadful. But what do you expect from the guy? Number one, he's only 20 years old coming into the NFL. I'm older. I'm 21 years old. I'm older right now than Kyer Elam was coming to the NFL. Just think about that. Number two, he's only 23 right now. Will be 24 during the season in his fourth year in the league. That's pretty darn incredible. Number three, much to my dismay, he was a scheme misfit. And what I mean by that is he was a heavy press man corner, uber athleticism, who had great ball skills, jump out of the gym mentality. And Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott drafted him in the first round, put lofty expectations on him, and forced him to be heavy zone corner. Ain't going to fly, man. Ain't going to fly with that. That's not how you should treat players from the first round. You can't throw them to the wolves, if you will, and then say, well, they're a scheme misfit, so what are we going to do? Like, I don't know if any of that made sense just now, but Kyer Elam was a scheme misfit, so I blame this 70% on Brandon Beane, 70% on organization as a whole, and 30% on Elam. 70-30. 70% on organization, Bills, 30% on Elam himself. Because, yes, any opportunity he got, he had some moments, flashes here and there, but he did look dreadful. But for the most part, but most importantly, I think it was a scheme misfit, and we all knew it. I don't know how Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott didn't know it. Shame on Beane for not knowing that on draft night, but it's whatever. I touched on this. I'm going to lump the safeties together. So I talked about Derek Forrest, DeMar Hamlin. 1 year, $2 million. The numbers here came in that deal. I'm giving this an A+, guys. I think the days of, I say days like it didn't just freaking happen. He's not some 30-something-year-old over the hill, if you will, safety. The days, though, for all intents and purposes, of DeMar Hamlin being a starting safety for this defense, at free safety, really, or specifically, I'd say rather, are over. I think this team wants Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop to be the starting safety duo of this team. Aiden Weingarten, me personally, I don't know and think if I want that. Like, I'm a little more wishy-washy on Cole Bishop compared to some other people, and then I explained at the very beginning of this episode, go back and rewind it, great chunk of listening there, how my wishy-washy relationship as Taylor Rapp has been over the last couple of years. I'm not opposed to any combination of starters, but I think 1 year, $2 million, that cheap of a deal suggests that he's a rotational player at best, and he's your third safety. He can play the Taylor Rapp role from 2023, but you're not going to find a safety with that much starting experience. He started the whole year in 2022 for Mike Hyde, basically disgusting severe neck injury. 2024, he started every single game. So 2 full years of starting experience, you're not going to find for 1 year, $2 million. So that's why I am giving it an A+. However, I want you guys to take this context here with you. However, if DeMar Hamlin is slotting into the starting free safety role in 2025 come week 1, unfortunately, I'm going to knock this grade down a bit. Probably not a lot, maybe so, but I'll have to think about it. But I will knock this grade down a bit if he's viewed as a starter again, and indeed is a starter come week 1. But right now, 1 year, $2 million, it doesn't scream or really suggest any at all, even a starter to me. So again, you're not going to find a freaking 2-year full starting experience young safety like DeMar Hamlin. I think this was more of a situation where he went out, tested the market. Oh, I'm not finding anything. Oh, I want to come back to Buffalo. So yeah, A+ there. Bills signed wide receiver Laviska Shenault. I think I haven't seen any underreaction to this. I haven't seen any overreaction to this. It's just mellow out there. And I think this is exactly how this move should be viewed. There's no numbers yet. No contractual numbers yet. Laviska Shenault is 26 years old. He's 6'1", 224. He's never really been anything in the NFL. He played at Colorado. He's more of a scat back type, kind of a wide back as they call him. Remember how Deebo Samuel was used in the 49ers in 2022, where he had those absurd rushing touchdown numbers, like 8 rushing touchdowns and a handful of 300-something and 400-something, give or take, rushing yards? Yeah, Laviska Shenault was supposed to be that as well. Nada. Didn't happen. His first couple years were okay. 600 yards, something yards 1 year. 800 something yards the next year, I believe. But 6'1", 224, that's good size. That's like darn near Deebo Samuel's size as a scat back / wide back, whatever you want to call the hybrid players. But I don't get this. His way to make this team is kick return. He had no punt experience at all in his career, college or the NFL. But kick return, I will say, he housed, which means return for a touchdown. He housed a return touchdown last year on a kickoff for the Seahawks, and then afterwards he threw up, and you see him puking on the TV. But besides the point, before throwing up, he housed that touchdown, so that was cool, I guess. But his RAS score, which raw athleticism score, for reference, 1 is terrible, 10 is perfect. Spencer Brown, for reference, has a perfect 10. The Bills as a 6'8", 320-something pound offensive tackle. Absolute mammoth of a human being, by the way. But to reference that, Laviska Shenault, for a guy that's supposed to be speedy, the next Deebo Samuel, the next this, the next that, only a 6-point-something. That's average, man. That's an average RAS score. So, yeah, average RAS, their RAS score, excuse me. So, this is going to be, these parallels, just listen to me. Like, listen up here. These parallels are very similar in my opinion. This is going to be the Chase Claypool signing of this training camp, of this preseason. Last year, when Chase Claypool was signed, right around this time, March, April, May, right around there, give or take, everyone said, oh my God, this is going to be a sleeper for the roster. He has size and speed downfield, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Maybe he can make the roster as wide receiver 6 if they keep 7. And then what do you know? Boom, cut. See you later. Probably will play in the CFL since he's from Canada. And then Laviska Shenault, oh my God, maybe he can be a sleeper deep threat. Maybe he can be this. Maybe he can be that. Guys, the only way he's making the roster is as a kick returner. And I prefer all of Brandon Codrington, Khalil Shakir, Ty Johnson, and Ray Davis over Laviska Shenault, bar none, on this team. What is he, the 5th or 6th kick return? Like, kick rocks. That ain't working with me. So, like, I would rather take a shot on for special teams purposes, one, but also from young development players on Jalen Virgil or Tyrell Shavers, is wide receiver 5 or 6, give or take, on this team. Keeping them. So, like, everyone's going to freak out like they just play go. Maybe it can be a sleeper. But no. This is an experiment. I'm not very high on, if you will. Like, this is a dumb experiment. Bills sign corner, Dane Jackson. Everyone keeps saying it's a veteran back to Buffalo. It raises the floor of the room. I understand, guys, that it raises the floor of the room, but this is exactly what I was afraid of. Let me get to the details and then expand on my thoughts for you guys, if I may. No numbers yet. 28 years old. He's 6 foot, 180, so he's a tall, slender, skinny corner, so he kind of gets battered around in coverage. Like, it's not a battering ram type corner. I don't understand. To me, yes, it raises the floor room. Okay, fine. But to me, most importantly, this is more of the same. Other than Christian Benford, I want this corner room rehauled. You can retooled and overhauled, if you will. Let Russell Douglas walk, which just looks like they're doing. Jamarcus Ingram can be back as your third or fourth outside corner. Fine. But this is more of the same, in my opinion. What is this, the Wayback Machine from 2 or 3 years ago? It's stupid. And another point, I want to make the argument of, if your plan is Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott is to bring back Dane Jackson as your CB4 on the outside, then fine. I guess, as much as I don't agree with it, I guess that's fine. But if you're setting up this situation to be a training camp battle between Dane Jackson and some rookie, and maybe Jamarcus Ingram as a sleeper, but for this purposes, Dane Jackson a rookie, that ain't flying with me. That's not going to work for me. If he's your CB4, fine. If it's a battle between Dane Jackson and rookie, I wouldn't even give Dane Jackson a chance to be a starter. He's a veteran insurance policy, can fill in here and there as needed. You guys can go back to my podcast from 2022. You guys can go back to my podcast from 2023 here on the Slice. My feelings on Dane Jackson were very mixed, and 99.9% of the time, they were negative. I'm sorry to be negative. I know I was negative last week, maybe even too much, but whatever. I'm not hiding from it. I'm just giving you the truth 100% of the time. I'm a negative on this as well. I just don't see. This is more. I'm really nervous that they're just complacent being more of the same. Sign freaking Asante Samuel Jr. I don't care if that injury is bigger than expected. Freaking do it, Beane. Like, he's being too complacent with this corner room, I feel like. So those are just my thoughts. Negative, whatever. Next, Bills signed guard Kendrick Green. When this came through, I kind of perked up. Like, oh, this is very much like 2 experiments that we signed between Laviska Shenault at wide receiver and Kendrick Green at guard, respectively. He could really play guard, center, flex if you want him to. 2 experiments there, and I'm taking the Kendrick Green experiment flyer, if you will, way before I take the Laviska Shenault stock. So this experience is worth it, in my opinion. No numbers yet. Vet minimum, 1.5 million. Who really cares? 26 years old. He's 6'3", 310. This clump Kendrick Green into the developmental pipeline that Aaron Kromer and the Bills have. Obviously, you have your starters. But on the bench, you have this nice clump of young players. You have Tylen Grable. You have Richard Garage from the practice squad. You have Mike Edwards from the practice squad. Not the old safety, the other one. You have Mike Edwards from the practice squad. And then the actual roster, you have Cedric Van Granger, Alec Anderson, Ryan Vandermark, Tylen Grable, like I just mentioned. And then Kendrick Green now. On the bench, you have these really nice competition. Now, I think the Bills will keep 9, maybe 10. Let's ballpark who will make it right now. You obviously have your 5 starters. And they didn't move on from David Edwards. Maybe they move on from it at training camp if Cedric Van Granger can be a start. Left guard, Alec Anderson or Tylen Grable can be the starting left guard. One of them goes to Jumbotron and David Edwards is cut, blah, blah, all that nonsense. But let's project the 5 starters, okay, guys? And then, no order, but Alec Anderson, that's 6. Ryan Vandermark, that's 7. Cedric Van Granger, that's 8. And then I think the 9th spot will come down to Kendrick Green and Tylen Grable. If they keep 10, they keep both of them. But don't discount like Richard Garage. There's a lot of sleepers on this team, or Mike Edwards. Like, there's a lot to reshuffle around this young nucleus on the bench, if you will. The starters more veteran starters. But on the bench, if you will, the young nucleus, Aaron Cromer. And you know Aaron Cromer loves to cross-train guys. You know he loves that guard center flex, guard tackle flex. All 5 spots, and Allie Anderson can play all 5 spots. Tackle, guard, center. Tyler Grable, guard, tackle. Shutterfield Granger, center, maybe guard. I'm not buying it, but maybe guard. You know if you're on the bench, you better darn well know at least 2, maybe even 3 positions, all 5 spots in the offensive line. So this is really encouraging to me. A lot to show for this young nucleus on the bench, if you will, but I'm really encouraged. Kendrick Green, I'm absolutely more excited for, quote-unquote, the Kendrick Green experiment than the stupid Laviska Shenault over-the-hill experiment. I don't even know what to call that. Unfortunately, though, Kendrick Green, whether it's been a healthy scratch, but mostly due to injury, torn bicep, torn ACL, I believe. Kendrick Green has only played in 26 out of a possible 68 games, 17 games a year, times 4 career. 26 out of possible 68 games in his 4-year career. So that's only 38% of the games he could have played. And that's a concern. But again, Aaron Cromer can groom this guy to be a versatile guard center flex. And I think between him, Tyler Grable, Richard Garage, you have 2 spots right there. Boom, lock it in, ready to roll. Young nucleus intact. Keep adding to it. And I'm sure they'll draft some guy in a UDFA. Next, we got to get real negative here, unfortunately. This really bums me out. And if I get honest here, well, too bad. I'm getting honest here. Defensive tackle Larry Ogunjobi and defensive end Michael Hoyt. Wouldn't you know it? Our latest 2 free agent signings. Oh, my God. Okay. Suspended for PED violations. I don't even know where to start. Let me get into the details. Each Ogunjobi and Hoyt have each been suspended 2 games. Now, let's get into the logistical and cap side of things. Listen to me very closely here, these next 2 bullet points. Hoyt and Ogunjobi, neither of them, they will not count towards the Bills roster to start the 2025 season. So for the next 6 games, 2 roster spots, they'll be on the suspended list. Boom, they won't count. This is important. Take this with you. Ogunjobi and Hoyt, they cannot practice. They may not practice or be on the team for the first 4 games of the 2025 season. However, after 4 games, they can then rejoin the team, then start practicing, to prepare to play after the 6th game of the 2025 season has concluded. So, there's that. Now we're past logistical stuff. Aiden being honest here. What the hell? I don't get this. To me, Brandon Beane, we thought we were having a nice press conference. What are your opinions on this free agent signing? What are your opinions on Josh Palmer? Michael, blah, 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 blah. Friday. Boom. He drops this huge bombshell. Oh, yeah. By the way, our 2 new free agent signings are suspended. He says he knew about Hoyt, and Hoyt said himself before the negotiations started, he knew about it, but Larry Ogunjobi, he signed the dotted line, his contract that Friday, and then they didn't know about it until soon after the fact. First of all, Ogunjobi, that's a slime ball move, excuse me. That's a hard word to say. That's a slime ball move, in my opinion. Number 2, Hoyt. Why the heck would they sign him? I'm sorry. I love Brandon Beane. For the most part. Not including Kyrie Lynn was standing. This is a brain dead move by Brandon Beane. I don't blame him for Ogunjobi. Maybe a little bit, but not really one bit, in my opinion. I do, however, blame him for Michael Hoyt. And I don't want to hear that Michael Hoyt's on a 3-year deal, so it's a bit more digestible. It's just a drop in the bucket. Blah, blah, blah. Guys, look at yourselves in the mirror for a second. This is 6 games of the 2025 season. This isn't no rebuilding team. This isn't the Tennessee Titans and Cleveland Browns where we have time to wait around for suspensions. We need to win a Super Bowl right freaking now. We don't have time to sit around. Well, they're going for a third of the season, so we get no. And now we have no defensive lineman. At defensive tackle, who do we have? At Oliver, coming up disappointing season. Daquan Jones, old and slow. What do you really do? Dwayne Carter, healthy scratch. He looked borderline terrible. That's it. And don't even get me started with Austin Johnson, Quentin Jefferson, Jordan Phillips. They ain't coming back. They better not. In my opinion, you could have taken wide receiver in the first round, but unless it's Matthew Golden in the draft this year, you better take the best defensive lineman available, whether it is D tackle in the interior or on the edge. I don't give to you-know-whats. I don't give a damn anymore. I'm so sick of this crap with this dumb pass rush. Now, you know how negative, unfortunately, I had to be about in my personal opinion on Joey Bosa this week. This is exactly what I was afraid of. I didn't see the suspension coming, but now you have to push Joey Bosa into a heavy starter role opposite Greg Rousseau, and that's not beneficial to him. I think at this point he's at third or fourth pass rusher, and because of that, you're pushing him into an amount of snaps where I am absolutely personally and not in all caps comfortable with giving him that much playing time. That's a territory I'm not comfortable touching. So there's that. 2, you're going to have to rely on Javon Selman off the edge as a 5th-round pick from Troy, big deal. And a 3rd-round pick from Duke and Dwayne Carter on the interior. This is stupid. This is dumb. I don't get... I'm going to make myself boiling again. But I don't get this. Why would Beane sign Hoyt? Ogunjobi, fine, okay, slime ball move, whatever. But Hoyt? You got to go big or go home here. And you better go big. We ain't going home again like we usually do in the playoffs. You go big. I'm sick of this bull crap and BS with this pass rush. It really gets my blood boiling if you can't tell. Sorry if my thoughts are scrambled on those suspensions, but this is a brain dead move by Brandon Beane. Okay, Aiden, time to cool down. Okay. Walk it through it. Best free agent still available needs. I was going to say defensive tackle, but forget that darn situation because there are no even quality, decent D tackles in the market left. But corner and safety, there's a couple. I feel like safety, they think it's done with DeMar Hamlin and Derek Forrest. None of them are big fishes, but unfortunately, I think they're kind of complacent there. And I can't believe they're being complacent at corner. So here, corner, Son Samuel Jr. Signed him literally yesterday. Safety, Justin Simmons, and safety is a get by action. Safety, Julian Blackman, if you want to quote unquote big young fish. Safety, John Johnson. I'd rather have Justin Simmons, but this is another get by option. And corner, Kyler Witherspoon. It feels like he comes in every year and saves the day for some teams secondary. Anyways, guys, I know that was a bit more negative with the whole Laviska Shenault thing and the whole stupid suspension thing. Really makes me mad. Anyways, guys, I gotta calm down and leave here. I don't know what to do. Today was a 1000% keep it a buck honest podcast. Anyways, guys, you can follow me personally on Twitter at aweingart13. I am now a fantasy analyst for Fantasy and Frames. You can find my work over there at fantasyandframes.com. I'll be appearing on a bunch of their redraft, dynasty, and college fantasy podcasts on the Fantasy and Frames YouTube channel. And then you can follow this show on Twitter at Round Slice. You can watch or listen to this podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Talking fast because I'm going to get mad again about the stupid suspension thing. Sorry, where was I? And then you can please help me get to 50 subscribers. I'm on the road to the Big 5-0 with some guests appearing in this podcast potentially. Yeah, I know. Eyeball emoji. Look out for that. Anyways, guys, I'm on scramble now because of the suspensions. I will see you on the next one. Thank you for kind of standing with me for my honest thoughts today. I appreciate the support as always. I really do. I gotta go calm down now, but hopefully you're not as mad as I just got. Have a great week, and I will see you on the next one. For whether you see me on Fantasy Frames or on here, I will see you on my next appearance. Have a great week, and goodbye. That sounded weird. Goodbye.